Good day, Kenyans. It's another wonderful day, a great opportunity for us to address you. My name is Nyakan June Juliet Munyeki, a presidential aspirant for this Kenya election. And we've just come through a nomination process that concluded recently. And we just love to give a statement so that we can be able to share our voice and vision to the nation. As a voice that represents the marginalized, in society, women, youth, people living with disabilities, and largely our SMEs and informal sector, I have had a great opportunity to pursue my call. For me, the journey of presidency is not an ambition. It's a call, it's an assignment. And having gone through that process, I'm really grateful that being a leader, I'm able to experience exactly what a Kenyan would have to go through to be able to fulfill an aspiration in elective office in this nation. I must say that it's commendable that we made it to the final list. For me, the process is still continuing because a voice and a call cannot be silenced or stopped. I'm going to explore my options in pursuing the next steps in this process. But I would just love to share a bit of the insights and the learnings from that process with Kenyans. We've got a very progressive Kenya Constitution 2010 that needs to be implemented to the letter and protected. And the Kenyan Constitution gives every Kenyan an opportunity and a right to vie for elective office. By and large, we've got a great constitution. The Electoral Act also provides for regulations that supports the process of this election process. And my experience showed that there were great things. The use of technology was really great, We were able to make our applications and have a seamless process from the onset. The requirements were well understood. And I can say that we have the law to guide, but there has to also be the spirit of the law to implement. We went through a couple of, very rigorous requirements that were needed. The timelines are things that would need to be considered. Also the voter education that's needed. When you have a good constitution, great laws and regulations to guide that process, but the environment in which that law is being implemented has not been quite limited. We're a very diverse nation. Going down onto the ground, my team and myself, to be able to get these IDs, signature processes, was quite an experience for us to even know as leaders what we need to do to improve on the process, to make it fair and actionable, right? We've got a very literate demographic, people who are well informed on their rights. So getting data from people is questionable if the voter education has not been done well. When you're looking at the cultural and religious beliefs in some parts of our country, also provides for need for voter education and creating an enabling environment, especially for females, to be able to fulfill some of these requirements. When you're looking at, the communication, the process, the safety, of travel and being in these different places for women, you find that these are things that have to be considered. The space in media to support, people like us. I'm really grateful that we have all the media here, and from different media houses to be able to support the voice of women. I don't believe that we're in a season where we would be looking at a process that's constitutional, but we're still looking at gender, biases and opportunities, because we're not that ready to really embrace and adopt the process fully. Okay? So giving women space in the media and also supporting them technically and financially is really crucial for us to have gone through that process. When you're looking at the timelines that have been put in, the process in order to align with the legal framework that has been given, I think there's room for improvement in those areas. The discretionary decisions that the commission takes has to be applied fairly across the board. Okay, not just for a particular candidate, but also looking at who the candidates are putting a fair, discretionary decision-making process that applies to both genders, people of all walks of life, and also the different kinds of scenarios that plays in. For me, I felt that by and large the process was well laid out. The communication could have been better. We were getting a lot of feedback on the process real time on media, and it would have been better if we had this directly communicated to us in a couple of instances, because it would have been able to eliminate some of the gaps that resulted in the outcomes of the process. Fellow Kenyans, as a voice for the marginalized, the women, the youth, the people living with disabilities, this call is not over. The voice cannot be stopped. This demographic of people needs somebody who can genuinely represent their needs, who can really speak for their concerns. Okay? When we are looking at the situation that we have in the country, the issues of the cost of living, food, basic needs, the cost of living is so high, the normal Mwananchi requires something to be done urgently. When you're looking at the issues of unemployment, it has gone beyond what we can even think is normal anymore. The state of hopelessness, if something doesn't happen immediately, is going to be drastic in this nation. Okay? When we're looking at access to basic services, water, we still have communities and counties that don't have access to water. The reactions and the mitigations of this basic need is to build boreholes. Yet this is something that needs to be happening from a national government perspective to provide basic services, water, food. This is basic. You cannot have a population that's productive, that's hungry, that cannot meet their basic needs of food. We need to be able to create a way, a practical way, to be able to enable Kenyans to be able to afford to feed themselves. When you're looking at the issue of our enterprises, over 70% of Kenyans work in the informal sector. Are their businesses profitable? We need to be able to find ways to support over 70% of our informal sector. And this has to be from genuine leaders who really have the heart of the people. Okay? When you're looking at the enterprises that we are having, the informal sector and enterprises, many people are busy doing activities. Are these activities profitable? You find people that just, going around in subsistence. There's no profitable business. We need to be able to create practical ways to be able to empower over 70% of the livelihoods of Kenyans. 24 million Kenyans are living in abject poverty. That means they're earning less than 100 shillings a day. How do we expect our Kenyans to survive with this kind of situation? We need to be able, as the leadership of this nation, to bring in practical interventions that are going to create employment and jobs and opportunities for people to be able to put money in their pockets. And we have those solutions. When you're looking at access to basic services, the unity that we need in this nation, we must no longer work on half of our capacity. The kind of politics we have now is divisive in terms of polarization by tribe. And this always leaves certain tribes out of the equation for 5 years. That means we will always be operating at half our capacity in the productivity of our nation. We need to be able to bring unification in this nation so that we can accept and enjoy our tribes for who we are and bring it as a strength for national development. Fellow Kenyans, I want to assure you that even as we proceed forward, okay, and I personally, I am pursuing, the various channels that are available to me to be able to engage in this process. But the voice of hope cannot be silenced. The voice of change cannot be silenced. The time is now. We need to be able to move forward. Inclusivity and inclusion, okay? I'm really proud of my colleague, my sister, Dorothy here, who has been in this journey just like I have. And we're together. We are saying that we're going to support one another because it's high time that women supported each other, and it's high time that leaders who are like-minded walk the journey together. We need to agree that Kenya requires leaders who are accountable, who are transparent, and are selfless in the stewarding of the resources of this nation. We need to be able to come in time and take this nation to the next level. Okay? So I would love to be able to assure Kenyans that you remain hopeful, that you remain knowing that the time is now for the kind of leadership that you need, a leadership that will bring practical solutions. When you're looking at the issue of food, we just need leaders who are committed and are result-oriented, who will come in and say, how do we reduce the price of food? How do we increase the money that farmers are getting? How do we reduce and remove the brokers in the middle who are finishing the money? And how do we bring direct market to the farmers so that the cost of the food is low, people can afford the food, people in Kenya can have extra money to do other things, and we're able even to support our farmers to produce better quantities and better quality of food. We're looking at organic farming. We're looking at fertilizers at subsidized prices, bringing subsidies within that sector. We need leaders who have the heart of the people. So I'm really grateful that the media, you're here with us. We're going to take questions. I'm going to pass over the time to my colleague to share her sentiments and her journey this far. And then we're happy to provide Kenyans with assurance that truly you have the right leaders on board. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Dorothy Kemunto, Nyangori. I am fortunate to have been in the presidential race. We are still presidential aspirants. That title doesn't retire, doesn't end. We are aspirants as long as we're not candidates. And I think our dream to lead this nation is still undeterred. We intend to